Hello, and welcome to Curious Conversations. We are your hosts, Carly and Mandy, and today we are talking about dreams.
Yeah. Okay, first question. Are you a big dreamer? Do you remember your dreams?
I'm not a big dreamer. I know I do, everyone dreams, but for the most part, mine seem to be more just going through my day, my brain trying to file away um, thoughts and memories, what I need to remember, what I don't. What about you?
Yeah, so I would say I almost always remember my dreams, even if it's just for like the first 5 minutes of waking up. I used to be really big into journaling dreams and such, but yeah, I'm all about the dreaming. But the rest of my household, no, they don't remember. My husband or my son do not remember their dreams. They have nothing to give. I think my son, like maybe twice in this life, has been like, "Hey, there was a little something," um, and then yeah, my husband has nothing. He swears he doesn't dream, but he talks, and he's kicking at something. I don't know what's going on there.
All right. I think there's a lot to dreams.
Yeah,
And not just, as a visionary matter. I'm meaning more of remembering them,
yeah.
talking through them, interpretation, but also just your mind trying to work through things. I think it's very therapeutic to understand where your mind is at and what it's working on. Our brains are so much smarter than the rest of our bodies. So, no,
I know. It's
it's
unbelievable.
important. Well, we'll
Yep.
talk about all of that. But first, we want to share with you this week's curious dish. So, this is the part of our show where we dish about the most curious thing that we've seen this week. Mandy, what do you got?
Well, okay, so mine's definitely curious. To me, it was a surprise, and it's sort of it's funny when you're like making these mental notes of the things you see, and you think, oh, that's going on the curious dish, um, and how sometimes they relate to different episodes we've had.
Yep.
So I just lost my whole microphone from being too handsy. Um, so we did a recent one so about like animals in captivity, and this was just funny that this came right around that time. But so I'm with my husband in a store, and somebody notices my shirt. So I'm wearing the shirt from the Oddities and Curiosities Expo that you and I went to. And that,
Yes,
usually draws some attention. And so they're
absolutely.
like, hey, we went to one of those. We went, wherever it was. I forget now because we moved on after that. But yeah, so they went to one where they lived, and they were talking about the area we were all in at the time. Maybe they need one here, blah, blah, blah. So we're doing this chit chat. And then the husband's like, oh, by the way, here's something curious, and points over, and like the wife pulls up a bag like you would have a little puppy, and it's a kangaroo. It's a kangaroo in that bag.
What?
Yes, like a young, I don't guess it was a
Oh,
baby, but it's like sitting up like a puppy. And we're both like, is this happening? Is this legal? I don't know. But of course I went and touched it. I said, I've learned through the years you're supposed to be respectful, not grab people's dogs up and,
mhm.
toss them and, celebrate with somebody else's animal. But
But it would be hard if I saw a baby kangaroo. I know.
I know, but this thing looks so timid, like, it kept
Mhm.
like pulling back. And I was like, oh my gosh, can I touch him? And she said, yeah, but he'll let you know if he doesn't want that. So, I'm pushy, and I'm like wanting to say, let me take your little face into my hands. But it did do this, and I listened to its cues and was respectful. But she said, I touched a little bit of the nose. She said that they are a lot like rabbits, which I've never had a rabbit, but I get the gist of a rabbit, like, kind of quiet and reserved. She said, they're kind of like prey animals. And I'm like, well, they're pests where they come from, right? So, but I didn't think you could have, I was like, where do you get a kangaroo? I
Well,
don't know.
full-grown kangaroos remind me of like a grown man that's been to the gym. They're kind of muscly and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it was not there yet. It was still cute and in a
Oh,
little pouch. And but I thought you didn't lead with that. Like, look what I have. But once we were having the curious conversation about strange things, he's like, check this out. So
by the
that's
way.
fine. That's my curious dish for the week because that's a little strange.
I love it. That
Yeah.
is awesome. Okay. So mine's a little heavier, but I mean, I just didn't have a whole lot happening this week. But the entire nation already, will know what I'm talking about. So there was the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, and that happened this week. That was a thing. That is curious. I'm definitely not going to get political with it, because I just don't believe in the bickering and the back and forth. And people feel very passionate about their things, and that's great. But we don't, we just want to talk about stuff. So, and our spirit of lightness and airiness. It was a very difficult and heavy thing to see. I don't ever want to see an attempt on any innocent person's life. That's a little hard to watch. It was a failed attempt as far as Trump goes, but there was a gentleman that lost his life, and that's very saddening. And then just to hear the comments afterwards from both sides, it almost feels a little disrespectful to the family. But I am a Trump fan. I don't know personally what I want to say about Trump, but as a leader of our country, I am a Trump fan. But I will say, the current administration, Biden, released a statement, as did Obama, and they were beautiful statements. I thought it was really great that they stepped up and said, "Hey, this is not acceptable," and as a nation, it's not acceptable. That's never that can't be where we go. Our minds go, and we don't know a whole lot about the shooter. Not good aim, I can tell you that much. So there's that, and he's dead. The Secret Service took him out, and so he's no longer here. But that it was a curious thing. It's something that you'd hope to never see again in your lifetime.
Yeah, how do you not mention that when it was such a shock, such a disturbing thing. Talk about little kangaroos and such.
Mm,
That's like, that's curious. But I mean, how do you not confront this? And I'm like you, I don't want to get political. I don't want to get mostly I don't really have any problem with getting political except for the way people handle that these days,
sure.
from either side. And you just, you think, well, this time it's going to be different. But um, when you come on a platform, you're basically inviting everybody in to your discussion, and you don't know where everybody's coming from, and they don't personally know you, they don't know your heart. So
Mhm.
they don't know where you're going with something, and it's just really kind of asking for trouble. But I will say, with that, there were many curious things, aspects of that, other than the horrifying obvious. But and I'll say personally, I don't want anyone harmed. No matter what side you're on, I don't understand that. I can't imagine a society that we are now a part of where we would celebrate anything or talk, just speak casually or in jest about something. But we see it all the time with different
Yeah.
people. It's just when you're following somebody, somebody's on your side or you're in alignment with somebody, then it really hits home and you think, well, why would they be that way? Like, I don't get the ugliness of
Mhm.
the world. It's a
Yeah,
bigger discussion, I'm sure, but
absolutely. And I'm going to bring something that'll tie us back to our main topic. There was a preacher that posted a TikTok, prior to this happening. He had a dream that there was an assassination attempt that failed. And I thought, gosh, that's strange. And I mean, weeks prior to it actually happening. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to the dream thing. I'm not sure, but I'll use that to feed back into what we're talking about today, which is dreams. You and I have talked a little bit about some things, and we've kind of alluded to we need to do an episode on dreams. And here we
Mhm.
are.
Here we are. And so let's just go with that. You're saying somebody, you're referencing someone who had a dream about something like a premonition. Have you
Yes,
ever had anything like that? Because I have not.
I have not. No, nothing like a vision that comes in the form of a dream. I think that would be really cool, but also a big responsibility to do something with that.
Yeah, like nothing's been that clear before. I have had little things happen, and I thought, oh, I dreamed something about that, but it was just like the mundane. I dreamed very practically. I dreamed about you recently, and I think we were shopping in a grocery store. So I dream like real day to day things, and I think that maybe that's because I stay in a creative mindset in writing and all the things like this in the daytime. That at night we've got to do the groceries.
Yep.
We've got to do
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. You got to have milk, toilet paper,
Yeah,
bread.
the practical things. Yeah.
I, I'm the same way. My dreams are very practical and boring. I hear of people that have dreams that are just elaborate and they're, you know, riding a pony that starts to fly and it's just like you should write a book. You obviously have
Yep.
a very creative imagination. I think that's incredible. I want to ask you a question though, and this is strange, but it's because I spoke with someone who has a very different patterns in the way they dream. If you were to dream that you were in a park, a big state park, and you get to the middle, there's a massive flagpole, very tall. The wind is blowing. The flag gets caught in the wind, and you know that very last portion of the flag that like snaps into place. Like you can hear it, right? That
Mm-hmm.
sound. Um, would that be in your dream? Like, do you dream sounds and are they just relevant to what you're dreaming, or do you hear birds in the background? Do you have background noise in your dreams?
Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't sure where you were going, but I could hear all that in this moment with you
Mhm.
doing that description. Um, I think to a degree. I don't think though like birds like that, but whatever is um happening at the time, I think I'm engaged in that. So like when I was dreaming about the grocery store, I might have heard like the cans moving as I was gathering or something like that, but maybe not the crowd.
Yes. Okay. So, I'm the same way. I only dream sounds that are relevant to what I'm experiencing or dealing with in the dream. I don't hear any background noises. But I asked a friend of mine who is a very logical person, not super creative, um, more of a numbers person. I
Mhm.
asked the exact same question, and actually what I got was that, he dreams words, not pictures. Have you ever heard of that?
No, what is that? Like a rolling screen, like the credits?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
what?
Yep. Could
How do
only
you remember
see the
that?
words. Does your
What do you
brain
do with that?
Yeah, I don't know. There are some people that dream in black and white rather than color. Some people dream with noise, without noise. But yeah, I had never heard of just words, just stating the words and that's it. No
Like
pictures.
an overture, like
Yeah.
a ladies and gentlemen, or like words like Star Wars is coming on. I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on.
The
Does that
rolling.
mean something? Yeah. Is it rolling? Does that indicate some type of something?
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to know if we've got any dream experts. I mean, that is definitely something I had not heard of, and
Yeah.
to this day still have not heard of anyone who says, "No, I don't dream pictures." Um,
Okay.
it's different.
I'll have to ask around. Like I've never heard that
Yeah.
from anybody that I know personally. It's unique, but I think that gets a little boring.
Yeah, that would be so boring.
I don't like that. No, I don't want that. I used to have more creative dreams. They sort of got more practical the older I got. And I think also because I had, you know, I do so many things creative that maybe I don't need that at night. But I was trying to think back my earliest dream. Like, do you remember your earliest dream that you can recall? Um,
No, not at all.
so I remember too many things because I don't have enough files for those things. And they say when something's no longer of importance to you, it needs to move on, it drops off. And
Sure.
mine's like right there. And um, but I remember a Fred Flintstone dream.
Oh,
Yeah, and so I was pretty little. And he drank this drink and turned into a green monster and chased me down a hallway. That's the that's the dream I remember.
oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that
Okay.
was, I guess, probably my first, like, probably dreamed a lot of things before that that did not stand out or I was too young, but I do remember that and not the details. But it was probably something I saw that wouldn't have been a storyline for the Flintstones, but that was something I probably mixed up. Um, I don't know, but I used to have quite a bit of nightmares, and thankfully I don't anymore.
Mm.
Do you have nightmares?
My nightmares look different now. When you're a kid, it's the monster, you're being chased.
Mhm.
Um, things that are you look back now and think, well, that would not be. I would know I was in a dream. My nightmares now are dreaming, I dreamed that my mom died. And that was horrible. I called my mom that morning just boohooing, you're it's those terrible where you wake up and you think, "Wait, was that real? Oh my gosh, it was a dream." Those are the
Yeah.
types of what I'll say are nightmares for me now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had those where you think, and you're just like thrilled once you're awake enough to realize that was a dream. I'm out of
Mhm.
that. That's not reality. But I have had um a lot of dreams that I can't find the light in a room. I'm moving
Oh,
about the house in the middle of the night and it's dark and I don't know what's going to be there at any time. That's one of my creepiest ones. I'm trying to find the light. And then I also go to the door and I feel somebody move the handle as I'm moving it. And so I'm
oh,
trying to pull tight. And it is the
oh.
creepiest thing. That sounds small, but it's like very effective
Mhm,
and being
mhm.
spooky.
Okay, so let's talk on the other side of the spectrum. Have you had any dreams that were spectacular, life-changing, just something you remember and it's tied to a great memory, anything like
Hmm.
that?
I have dreamed about people who have passed,
Mhm.
who have already gone on, and it's like a visit. And so I'm, happy when I wake up and also sad because then it's over with, but they don't
Mhm.
speak. Those people don't speak in my dream. Mm-mm. No, like I've had them with with grandparents, with my dad, a good friend of mine who passed, and they don't talk in the dream. So
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
they're not a part.
So you feed in perfectly to my next
Okay.
story. I've had a dream that I wrote about for personal. It's not published anywhere. It's just my own. But my grandmother, I was very close to her growing up. My grandparents lived in the house next door. And so as a kid, it was, yeah, I mean, I could just run over there anytime I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'd spend the night and I slept on the floor in between their little I Love Lucy bed set up. They had the twin
Yeah.
beds, and I'd sleep in the middle and just very close to them. And she's made such an impact on my life. My grandmother gave me a love for reading and words and stories and rhymes. And I think that's why I write today. And so her passing, she passed from, the complications of Alzheimer's. And um, I struggled with that a little bit. I was kind of in a weird place when she passed away. And as I've gotten older, there's just, you have those regrets. And I wish I could go back or, I wish I would have done this, spent more time. And so, I actually prayed one time and I asked God, I said, I want to see her. Can I see her one more time? And it was it wasn't like a mystical thing. Like I didn't want her to be standing at the end of my bed, calling my name. But I did ask, could I dream about her? And I want to see her face. And I want to tell you about this dream because the way it's set up and played out was just such a supernatural thing. My grandmother, and we've talked about this, was the Avon lady
Hmm.
of Frostproof, Florida. I mean, she was just that's what she did. She sold Avon and she worked in the school system. So there were other things, but everybody knew her as the Avon lady.
Yep.
And so she had a house full of all these little, Avon plates and perfume bottles and just all these little trinkety things. And so I dreamed one night that I was standing in a school cafeteria, which she worked at the school system, so she would come into the cafeteria when I would go to lunch and we'd spend time in there together. She would eat with me. But I'm looking in like a curio cabinet full of these little Avon bottles and stuff. Um, and just checking them all out. And the back of the curio cabinet was glass. And so I look past the bottles and I'm looking through it's like a very reflective, almost like a mirror, but
Hmm.
not quite. But I'm looking at this and I can see the reflection of the tables behind me, the cafeteria tables behind me. And my grandmother and grandfather were sitting at one of the tables holding hands, and I could
Oh,
see them in the reflection. Um, I wanted to turn around but there was something inside of me that knew if you turn around, they're not gonna be there. So I
wow.
didn't. I just stood and looked in the mirror, uh, and watched them, and they were both smiling and just very happy. And I think there's a lot to that. I think that it was, I feel like God didn't let me look at them directly, it was a looking back, and I think there was purpose in that. I think that was an intentional, this is where they were, I don't know, it was just such a strange thing, um, but I truly feel like that was a gift given to me that I had asked for.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really cool. And as you're saying it, I'm like thinking in my head, all the meanings and stuff and the symbolism and everything because you're talking about looking through and you've got the Avon bottles and all and maybe what was represented and but you were scared when you look back, they're not there because they're not there. Your
Sure.
past is your past, but you can look through something and see almost like a reflection of them maybe through you in going
Mm.
forward. And so I like that. That's a pleasant dream.
It was. It was. I was, very emotional when I woke up. Yeah, but in a good way, you're just so grateful and thankful and I wouldn't push it. I'll see him again one day, not on this side, but that
Yeah.
was enough for me. That was exactly what I asked for. Um, yeah, and I love that you speak into the symbolism of it. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I wonder why we dreams are so gosh, there's so much mystery there. And I wonder if we remember the ones that maybe we're meant to remember and the others are just sort of the almost like downloading or just processing and you know because we have to do something to keep our minds sane. So I always wondered if it's just like, you know, getting everything, going through the whole database and making sure that everything is cleaned up and ready for the next day. One of
Mhm.
the reasons sleep is so important is because, I don't know how people make it that say, oh, I never sleep. So it's reboot time. And yeah, I'm thinking maybe some of those that stand out to us, there's something we need to look into, or there was a purpose. Keep doing
Yeah.
this. I keep using my hands and knocking, like just be still hands. Be put those hands in under my legs and hold them down. Um, yeah, I mean, okay, so I've told you we didn't know each other at this time, but I told you that I used to do dream interpretation for a short while. And
Yeah.
this is hard not to use my hands. That sounds so woohoo, out there. I interpreted dreams. I, didn't have like a rap or something that looked all mysterious.
Mystical.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I got real interested in that and felt like I sort of had a gift for that. And even worked at some events, and I told people up front, because I'm no like charlatan or something. I told people up front, hey, I'm not saying this is it. I'll get you what I gather from what you tell me. But
Mhm.
I noticed that I did it better if I knew somebody. But if I could pick up on, I'm really good at quickly picking up on people for the most part. So I would feel like I would kind of drew from that, but not like psychic or anything like that, just intuitive, I guess. And
Yeah,
I did kind
absolutely.
of hit the nail on the head for a lot of people. And then I realized, well, that's not my thing to do this like regularly or to do this for money or for events or anything. But still to this day, when people tell me about dreams, I'm like, I'm putting the pieces together in my head and deciding, what that might mean.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think there's some basic ones that most people are aware of as far as interpreting dreams. If you dream that you're naked, you feel exposed. If you dream that there's a birth, then it's like a new growth or a rebirth, or there's those. But I purchased a book that I'm going to share. I'm going to share two books today. But the one that I thought was very interesting, and it kind of goes into the interpretation. It's called "The New Secret Language of Dreams." And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you can see it. So if you're not following us on YouTube, it's Curious Conversations, and you can see our faces. We don't post all of our episodes, but a lot of them we do. But it's a beautiful book, just a stunning cover. You kinda wanna turn it
Yes,
outward on your
very
shelf.
pretty.
But yeah, it kinda goes into understanding the unconscious, part sides of us, and why we dream what we dream and what those meanings might be. And it may not, be spot on every time, but at least you can start to dig in and understand how the mind works, and maybe what your brain is trying to get you to file away or to remember, recall. Yeah, I think interpreting dreams, while it can be woohoo, a little
Mm-hmm.
mystical, I think there's a lot of importance in that, because we're programmed to self-govern. We're programmed to deal with our own issues and emotions, to an extent. And so I think it's important to understand what is our brain saying to us, and why. Why is that there at this time?
Yeah, I would be interested in that book. I think one of the reasons that I started doing the dream interpretation, and we're talking, gosh, I don't know, close to 20 years ago, was because I had this book that was supposed to, you looked up. I dreamed about da 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 da, and then it would say it meant something, and it was so random. And I thought, what is this? It's like you're matching a wheel with,
Yeah,
dreams this, now spin this. And it didn't seem to make any sense to me. And I thought, no, dreams are personal. You can't just say, or it's like a blanket answer or an interpretation for everyone. I think it's
right.
really personal. I think there's a lot of symbolism there, but you talked before about like the things about dreaming that you're naked, and I've had those kind of dreams, and it usually is when I'm feeling vulnerable or worried about something. I've had the dream that most of those books talk about losing your teeth. Have you ever had that?
Oh, I have not, but I've heard of it.
Yes. And so, I've heard that means can mean different things, but it can mean, feeling out of control, not being rooted in something. I think there's those kind of things that are a little more universal, but I think whatever somebody's dreaming is personal to them. I don't think that, everybody on the road you live on is dreaming about a snake is in the backyard. Although I've dreamed about snakes. That's another one that's sort of,
Yes,
have you ever dreamed about snakes?
absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't have a fear of snakes. I don't want to like come across a poison one in the yard.
Right.
I don't
I
want to
don't wanna make
surprise.
one mad, but
Yeah. I don't want to surprise snake, but I'm not scared of like a snake. but I have had those dreams, and it's always like tons of snakes. There's lots of snakes, and I think it's another fearful dream.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I like to look at the books like that. That's a pretty one too.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It is
Yeah.
gorgeous. Okay, so let
Um,
me ask you this.
uh-huh.
And this is me getting lost on Reddit. Have you ever heard of multiple people having dreams about the same person, seeing the same person in their dream that they don't know?
Okay, I've heard of that. I've never experienced that, and I don't know somebody who's experienced that, but I have heard
Same.
of that. Yeah, you don't know anybody though, personally?
No. I
Uh,
don't, but, I thought, well, that's very creepy. I've read of people that have multiple dreams about the same person and they don't know this person, and I'm
mhm.
thinking, that's gotta be something because, did their mind just make up a whole human, or is this somebody that they saw and for some reason it stuck out? Or is this a messenger coming in their dreams trying to get them to learn something? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So I first heard of that online. I don't know if that was TikTok. I don't know if that was what that was, but I thought that's weird. And they were saying that, some people all seem to be having somebody pop up in their dreams, and it's just like a generic looking person. And I'm trying to rack my brain, like, did that was that person in my dream? But I don't think I dream about strangers so much unless they are like, that's not the main characters in my dream.
Right.
Unless it's somebody trying to hunt me down. And lots of times I don't see their face because I think that's, again, symbolism. You're feeling fearful of something. It's not like
Not
a
someone.
person. Right. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. There's that movie though with Nicolas Cage, Dream Scenario. And they're like talking about that same kind of thing. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to whether that's exactly like that, but it's what it sounded like.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I did watch the trailer.
Okay.
But yeah, it seems like it would be very entertaining.
Yeah, it looks a little quirky, and I like some quirky. But I'm thinking, what if people were saying, "Hey, I think you were in my dream." Like, that's weird.
Yes. Yeah. That would be odd.
Yeah, I've had some people in my life, and I did have a friend when I was younger who said that he had the capability to get into your dream, and he had some stuff. So it was a little bit spooky. And when you're young and impressionable, you think, "Oh God, really?" But it might have just been a line like, "Don't I sound cool when I say this? I can get into
Yeah.
your dream." Yeah, I had a friend at the time who swore that he did get into her dream, but didn't that just mean she dreamed about him?
Yeah. Probably because he said that.
Yeah,
Who
like,
knows?
yeah, you dream about somebody, and they're, I guess, in your dream. So
Yes.
I don't know, maybe that's just weird marketing. Just like, I can be in your dream tonight. Yeah.
Might be weird, but it might also be very effective.
Yeah. I don't know. The power of suggestion, right?
I will say, speaking of messengers coming in dreams and people inserting themselves into dreams, I wanna plug another book, and I it's been a while since I read this one, but it's called Dreams and Visions, and it's by Tom Doyle.
Okay.
Um, this is a great read. This is a collection of stories, and they're all from Middle East, Central Asia area. It's written by a series of Muslims
Hmm.
who were visited in dreams by Jesus that said, "Hey, you need to get to know me."
Really?
And
I've
the
never heard of that.
trajectory of their life completely changed because of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is an interesting read. Again, I don't like to push a whole lot of things on people, but we talk about documentaries all the time that are good and books that are really great. This is a good read. And so, if you've got an opportunity to read it, it's definitely there's just an eye-opening factor to it of, gosh, um, maybe there's more to dreams than just our brains trying to get stuff organized. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very interesting. I don't think I've had anything that powerful. You keep mentioning books though, and so it made me think, and this is, you know how you say you're going to do something and it's like in the back of your head planning to do the thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it's been about 2 years ago now. I had a dream and it was literally a story from beginning to end that
Oh,
I was going to write as a book. And so when I woke up, I used to keep like a little journal and jot down things. This one
mhm,
was ridiculous. It was like my brain went um, full force that night. And it was a story. It could have been a movie. It could have been a book. And
mhm,
it was not anything like what I would normally write. It was a period piece. It took place, I want to say like the 30s. And it had a whole storyline. It had characters. And so when we talk about not knowing the people in your dreams, in that one, I didn't know anybody except for one person. And it was actually the way the dream started out. It was the real estate agent we used for our home, which we've been here almost 22 years. I see him around every once in a while, not somebody on the forefront of my mind. So he probably represented something. But in the dream, he was telling me, I've got this great story you should write. And the whole thing is told out. And I've got that somewhere. And I've got it in my head, like I can tell you kind of the idea of it, but I wrote down a good bit of that and was going to do, I had a name for it and everything. And I've never done that again. It was just like a story was gifted to me. And for whatever that means, it was weird.
mm,
That's not how I normally dream, but it was
that
just overload.
that is odd.
Yeah, it was
Huh.
odd. And I remember thinking, okay, did you have a drink? Did you have, did you go crazy with the caffeine? Like I don't partake in that much. So I don't know.
Mhm.
There was nothing that would have caused like any lucid dreaming or any kind of weird stuff. And it was just the clearest story from beginning to end and was very interesting. I don't know how I would write it because it wasn't really my style, but that probably goes down as one of the weirdest dreams I've had.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do think we're affected by the things that we eat.
Hmm.
I think, I like my little CBD gummies before I go to bed. They just help me sleep so well. And I think, some of that may be the reason I don't remember dreams as often as other people. I don't know.
Out.
Um, but definitely, we're affected by what we're going through, our experiences, and I think a lot of that comes out after we've hit our REM cycle.
Yeah, I had in the, oh gosh, this would have been the early 90s, um, friends who believed that mugwort tea, which I'm sure you can just search that now, and it's probably poison. I don't know. But that was, in the early 90s, what did we know about anything? You just somebody said drink it and you did it and you had no way to like really gather a bunch of information. We didn't all have computers at our house. And
Right.
so it was supposed to be something that was sold at kind of a weird witchy store. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, and it was supposed to cause like lucid dreaming. And it sounded like a fun thing at the time. It wasn't like a drug or anything like that. Another thing was marigold tea, which I don't know about that either. Anyway, I tried it and I do remember thinking I dreamed some weird stuff, but I don't know. I just wouldn't advise just drinking anything that somebody tells you to drink.
So I'll say the only experience I have that's anything close to that, I take Alpha Brain,
Oh,
which it's all natural. It's just a bunch of different vitamins and things that you're taking. But it does give you some clarity. It's like that cloud just kind of lifts and you can think straight. And so if I'm going into a meeting or something that's important, I'll pop an Alpha Brain. But the recommended dose is like 2. I'm very sensitive to things, so I always cut things in at least half, if not a quarter. But first time I took it, I thought, well, I'll take 2. I'll just think clearer. And I did all day. It was bizarre. I would remember little details that I normally wouldn't pay attention to, like, oh, there was a trash can, and by the trash can, there was a yellow cat, and the yellow cat was blah, 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 things that you're just like normally
right.
oblivious to. That night, I dreamed. a million. I mean, it was just nonstop. But all of my dreams were me completing tasks that needed to be done. It's just the most random and bizarre thing. I was like checking emails in my dream. It's like, okay, that was too much.
Yeah, there's some medications that will do that. I know there used to be like a special cough syrup when I was growing up, and it was one of these little small pharmacies. And, I don't know what those ingredients were, but it was supposed to be safe for like teens and stuff. And they had to make it like behind the counter. And I would lay there and think of all the things that I could do. And this was like before I had a home and, a whole adult life. And so, there was no need for me to think about the things to do. My brain was
Sure.
over responding, and I felt
Yes.
like I had all these great, amazing ideas and could hardly move my body. And I didn't really like that feeling later on. I thought
Mm-mm.
it stopped the cough, but I don't like this. This is weird.
Yeah, I didn't like my experience, but it was only because I had to wake up the next day and respond to those emails, and I felt like I'd already done it. So,
Didn't we handle this at
yes.
2
Why am
2
I doing
a.m.?
this again?
Yeah, I don't like that feeling. So have you
Mm-mm.
ever had like the true lucid dreaming where it's like awake and asleep? And Um, I had that once after surgery, and
Oh,
I was still living at home with my mom, and I was on the sofa sleeping because I couldn't get into my bed after the surgery, and I was like asleep and awake. It's a trapped feeling, or it was for me, and I was trying to yell for help, and nothing would come out, and I was seeing things, and things were happening, but it was like being awake and asleep at the same time. And then I found out it was a side effect from the medication that the pain medication that I was taking post surgery. And
sure.
I did not like that. Like I was hoping I would never have that again because it was like being suffocated or something. It was like being held down. I couldn't move my limbs, like I couldn't do anything. It was just trapped. Scary.
You can buy a sleep mask now that has like certain light patterns that is supposed to help you lucid dream. And I think that sounds horrible.
Yeah,
I have no desire.
oh gosh, my threshold was low when I was younger for just, yeah, I'm ready to try anything. And now, like, I don't want to feel altered.
Yep.
I
Nope.
want to feel steady, and I can do weird all by myself without any help whenever I want to and be in control of that.
That's right.
Just want to be Mandy. I don't need help from anything else. But yeah,
Mhm.
that was not good, and I did not intend for that to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I thought now I hear people talk about that. There's like trending things now that you think, oh, I remember that 20 years ago, but we didn't all think that was cool because I didn't want to feel paralyzed.
No. No, no, no. Nope.
Yeah,
Nope. I am like the dreams where you're trying to scream and nothing comes out. That messes me up for days. I don't like anything where I don't feel in complete control. So,
yeah, I get it. Are you familiar with like dream patterns, like repeated dreams, and somebody having the same dream coming back? Have you ever had that?
I have never had a recurring dream. My fiance has.
Okay.
And I won't begin to tell his story because I would mess it all up. But he told me, about a dream that he had for gosh, the first 30 something years of his life, almost 40 years of his life, and it was that there would be something fun. As a kid, he would be on a four-wheeler and he could feel the wind and he could hear it and he knew he was having a good time, but he couldn't open his eyes. He couldn't see it to fully experience it. And he continued to have that dream into adulthood. There were things happening around him, and he couldn't get his eyes open to actually see it to have that experience. And that changed for him. He started his own business and he kind of stepped out of the rat race a little bit and started doing his own thing. And I think he decided to kind of just take control of his life and figure out what makes me happy, what do I enjoy, we get so boxed in sometimes that we don't know what else to do. And he really broke out of that box. And we do life very unconventionally. It's very different from swimming upstream. Or swimming downstream. It's very um, just self-dependent and totally different. And that dream stopped. And that was his point, was he felt like he's now learned to see the things that he can enjoy and enjoy them rather than just see these experiences going by. And he's so stuck in the box of the rat
Mhm.
race that he can't. He tells that so much better than I just did. But that's a recurring dream. Is that something that you have? Do you have those?
Yeah, and as soon as you were telling that, since I know him, and I was thinking of these, the dream interpreter thing was kind of going off in my
Yes.
head, and I'm like, oh, Metaphor City, and like, I think I think you told it fine, because I think we do have these things, and they come to us in a not like kind of an indirect way,
Mhm.
but it means something completely direct and clear.
Sure.
And so maybe we do have these dreams at certain times in our life. I Now mine doesn't sound meaningful. I don't know what this was, but when I was a kid, my grandmother sold Avon too, and we've talked about that. I would
Yep.
go with her on her little, um, thing. So it was like a community that she lived in, and I would go when she would give the books. I would go when she would return the products. That they had ordered. And so there was one house that I didn't care for because there were a lot of animal heads on the wall, like, you know, deer and such, but there
Yeah.
were a lot. And so as a kid, that was kind of creepy to me. My family didn't have any of that. And so it was weird. And I would dream about that. And I dreamed about the house regularly and the heads on the wall. And then suddenly there would be people and they would be wearing those heads. And I would always dream that it was the same kind of dream, and I would feel uncomfortable in the house.
Mhm.
And I had that repeatedly for years. And it was probably because every time we went over there, I got spooked again. So I would dream about it. But that kind of makes sense. I don't think there was a deep meaning there. The one I could never figure out was I used to dream about what we called the old Kmart. So there were several Kmarts within my time period,
Sure.
close to where we live now. And then there was um, the first one when I was very young, and then one after that. I always dreamed about the first Kmart, the oldest Kmart that I can remember. And it doesn't make any sense. A lot of my dreams would take place within that Kmart. There'd be different
Oh,
dreams, but it would all be at that same one. Now, my mom didn't work at that Kmart. We didn't like that wasn't my favorite store. I don't know what that would have meant, but a lot of dreams took place at that Kmart. Even once
I
I was
wonder.
grown, every once in a while, it's been a while now since I've had one, but it was me and my mom would say the old Kmart. Have no
That
idea
is so
why.
funny. I wonder if there's just a glitch where there's just something that your brain is like, okay, I need to get rid of this and file it away somewhere, but maybe there's just a weird glitch and it's with you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's that last ingredient in your cabinet, and you're like, I guess I can throw that in tonight's meal. Rather than just throw it out. Don't want to toss it.
Right.
We're gonna do this one at the old Kmart. This is for the old
I vaguely remember Kmart's.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while. And then there was another one where I dreamed about my middle school, and always in that dream, the place was crumbling. So I would start out down a hall. It was fun. And I had a favorite teacher in middle school, probably one of my all time favorite teachers. And he was always in the dream. And then it would be like after hours or when the school was closed. And I'd be going through there and I'd see him at some point. And then as I went along, the halls would get darker. And then the whole place was just sort of crumbling. And I dreamed that a lot. And I'm thinking that was probably like, memories, the past, something from my childhood was, but I dreamed it during the time too. So it wasn't as I was older, looking back, I dreamed it at all different stages. And strange thing, as an adult, I mentioned that to a childhood friend, and she had dreamed it. She had dreamed about the crumbling middle school. Yeah, and I thought that was weird. She's very straight and
Ah,
narrow. We're nothing alike. And she had dreamed the same things, and we were kind of shocked because we didn't stay friends. I changed schools in high school, so we
Yeah.
weren't friends all these years. We just sort of reconnected as an adult, and I found that out that she had had those same dreams.
Wow, how strange.
I know, and the place never is still standing, so it's not
Mhm.
like we were so cool we saw what was going to happen. No, it's still there. Nothing happened. I don't know what that was.
Okay. Well, now we're gonna have to watch the middle school. Hope it doesn't fall. That's
Right? Yeah,
I hope that's not a premonition.
however many years ago I knew that was going to happen. Now, my mom
Ah,
had recurring dreams though, and somebody suggested to her that it wasn't a dream, it was a memory.
yes. I have heard that.
But hers was aliens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Every like spring or something, those aliens came. Um, in her dream, she had the same, like a season, she had that dream. And so
Oh.
somebody that was like all into the aliens said, yeah, they came to see you in the spring.
Oh, no, no, no.
Creepy,
So is
huh?
she scared of aliens? Does she have a fear of
She don't really have much feelings about aliens.
That's so bizarre.
Yep. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
kind of weird. I don't know what that could be. That it would come season, like a specific season.
Mm.
That's weird. Dreams are weird. I'm telling you. It's weird.
They they are strange. Very strange. But all in all, our minds are phenomenal.
Yep.
Just the way they work and the human mind is incredible. So, I feel like there's something to it. Sometimes you just dream because you're just dreaming. Sometimes
Yep.
it's you're trying to work stuff out and I believe there are just those fun dreams where you're riding on a unicorn and it's just fun.
I want to go have one of those tonight.
Yeah. I don't mind having those. I'll have those all day.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Well, this has been amazing. I love talking about
Yeah,
these things with you.
me
So,
too.
and we want to hear from our listeners if you guys have had some really amazing dreams. Maybe you've had someone come to you in a dream and it has turned into something, or you got a message. We want to know about it. So, shoot us an email, reach out and let us know. And don't forget to join us next week. We'll be back. Thanks for listening.